Oh, good afternoon and welcome to Live Impact News here on the 13 News Now app. It is 1:01 p.m. on June 10th. It's a Wednesday afternoon here, and we have quite a bit to cover on Live Impact News. Now, the first thing we'll do is we will say hello to the People's Producer, Nia Campbell. Hello, Nia. How is your Wednesday?
My Wednesday is going good.
Yeah, I walked out into the station today. I saw you in the boss's office. What was going on in there?
I was just waving, saying hey.
Just saying hey?
Greetings, yeah.
Salutations upon arrival? Strong networking, Nia Campbell. That is why you're the People's Producer. Now, next to Nia, you see the front sliver of an individual. That is Dom. Hello, Dom. Come on into frame. Dom is training today on Live Impact production, and it is very likely that you will see him producing for Live Impact News and other shows on this platform and in this studio in the future. Dom, great to have you here. Any comment? It was glad to have you, Dom. We're glad to have you. And then, of course, there's myself, Connor Reel. Now, our original plan, I believe, can be adjusted here because a live feed outside of a House oversight interview with Bill Gates has just unfroze. We were creating an itinerary when that feed was frozen. Now that it's unfrozen, what do you say we go out live to D.C.? Does that work for you, Nia? That's a thumbs up from Nia. Let's go live again. This is outside of a House oversight closed-door interview with Bill Gates. Let's listen in.
Who could shed the most light on all the people who were involved in the abuse of these women over these years. And they took her out of a maximum security prison and put her in an easier, more permissive environment. And she continues to refuse to cooperate with the committee or offer any helpful information. So we view Todd Blanche as being a major obstacle in this investigation. With respect to Mr. Gates, we continually press him on the point that his relationship, his multi-year relationship with Jeffrey Epstein began after Mr. Epstein was already a registered sex offender and had been convicted of crimes against women. So this investigation is going to continue. Again, we think that probably, well, many of us think that probably the most helpful thing that Mr. Gates has provided is that he has named a number of individuals who were in key positions during this effort to get into the Gates Foundation and influence Mr. Gates himself as part of Jeffrey Epstein's conspiracy or attempt to gain power and resources for his operations. That's all I got.
Great. Good morning, everyone. I think we are all glad to hear that Mr. Comer has had a change of heart in making sure that Todd Blanche is brought before this committee. We want to make clear that he must be brought before this committee under oath in a deposition that is recorded for the American people to see. And this is separate from his confirmation process. Todd Blanche is at the heart of the cover-up of this case, as was revealed especially in the New York Times explosive reporting today about Situation Room meetings that were held in which Todd Blanche, as the president's personal attorney and deputy AG, was working with others, including the vice president, to help to try to cover up this case. Now, with regards to Bill Gates' interview today, what we have learned is that Mr. Gates saw this as an opportunity to interact with a financial advisor who had access to vast amounts of wealth, that Mr. Gates was interested in potentially forming partnerships to bring donors into his global health work. And so he saw his relationship and conversations with Jeffrey Epstein as a means to potentially get wealthy donors to donate philanthropically to Mr. Gates' global health work. He admitted that he knew of Mr. Epstein's reputation. He admitted that he knew that he had been convicted of sexual crimes, but ultimately, in his words, he viewed this narrow relationship as being an acceptable means to access wealthy donors. So obviously we have a lot of questions, but we're glad that he's cooperating with the investigation.
No, we're supposed to be the oversight committee, meaning that we are supposed to make sure that we can conduct oversight, but we have been doing a lot of obstruction. And when I say we, it's more so like Chairman Comer. If you've noticed, we haven't actually had any oversight committee hearings because as the reporting has come out, we know that there were situation room meetings. Now, the only one that we have really heard about as it relates to a situation room meeting and the Epstein files was when they were trying to berate one of their own members. That was when the gentle lady from Colorado had to be called in as relates to one of her votes, specifically on the Epstein files. Right now, we are not conducting oversight. The only thing that is happening is that obstruction is being conducted. Right now, I am shocked that the chairman admitted that he wants to hear from Todd Blanche. Now, maybe he just said that because, I don't know, he's got an election coming up. And as we know that these situation room meetings, they were about the fact that there was a quote-unquote MAGA civil war that was erupting over this. But how about doing your job? Our job is oversight over the federal government. We can't conduct oversight over anything else simply because they don't want to deal with the Epstein files right now. And that's exactly what we should be doing. So I applaud my colleagues because even though they don't want to have any hearings, we are still showing up for every single TI. We are showing up for every deposition that we were able to secure before they shut us down by shutting down the committee hearings.
Thank you. Emily Randall from Washington State. I am grateful that Mr. Gates has been forthcoming and cooperative in answering questions, but I think some of his answers show us that many of the men who engaged with Jeffrey Epstein only saw what they wanted to see in their interactions. Mr. Gates has said that he didn't see any abuse, and we know that some of the women who were present working for Mr. Epstein, who were at meetings, who were on planes, were being trafficked and being abused. Maybe not in front of Mr. Gates' eyes, not in front of the eyes of many people, but we've seen men willing to turn away, to not accept what we now know is happening. And so our work is to continue asking questions, both of Mr. Gates and anyone who was present with Mr. Epstein, but also to make sure that we hold ultimately accountable Todd Blanche and this administration for the massive cover-up and find true justice and truth for these survivors.
On Gates today, there's been a lot of apologies from him. He's sorry that he associated with Jeffrey Epstein so much. Jeffrey Epstein was able to use Gates' name in order to project power and influence. But in the end, what's done is done, and what happened, happened. And Jeffrey Epstein associated with people like Bill Gates because he wanted to use their names and reputations. And Bill Gates thought that Jeffrey Epstein was a ticket to getting more money to his foundation. That's why they associated. And so we're going to hear more from him today. On Todd Blanche, he has to come in and he has to testify under oath before a committee. I have serious concerns that some of the things that Pam Bondi said to us was misleading at best, if not untruthful, based on the reporting today. We asked her straight up whether Donald Trump's name was flagged when they were going through the files and whether they were looking for his name and trying to protect Donald Trump through the process. It seems like that was the case, but she told us she didn't recall. Even if you say you didn't recall to our committee, that is lying if you do recall. And so we have more questions now for the Department of Justice and certainly for Todd Blanche.
There has long been two different systems of justice in this country, one for the very rich, powerful, and well-connected in the Epstein class, and another for everybody else. And that's what today's testimony and so many others have made very clear. We know that over the course of decades, countless women came forward to the FBI and to the Department of Justice and reported rape and abuse at the hands of Jeffrey Epstein. Yet even after 2008, even after that sweetheart plea deal, when people knew that he was a registered sex offender, his proximity to power, his proximity to so many important, rich, and powerful people legitimized him. And surrounding himself and being able to continue surrounding himself with those types of people allowed him to abuse so many other young girls, children, and women for years to come. This is the system that we have to change and fundamentally transform. Look at right now, Congress has had to step in because the Department of Justice refuses to do its job. So I think that The most important thing moving forward is for us to continue this investigation. But we know from what has come forward through these testimonies and interviews, but also through the expose today about the White House cover-up, that we will have to do all of these interviews again under oath in front of the American people, and we will have to go after people like Todd Blanche, like Pam Bondi, and like Donald Trump himself, who have enabled and perpetrated this cover-up. So we have to make sure we prosecute the people who were part of the crimes and investigate those, but also prosecute for the most egregious cover-up in American history.
Any questions so far on the...
So in the Epstein files, there's some pretty explosive, unverified allegations related to Bill Gates. Specifically, there's some draft emails where Jeffrey Epstein supposedly was writing to himself. They were never sent. I'm wondering if you were asking him about those emails in there, specifically whether Epstein ever set Bill Gates up with women, or whether Epstein ever gave Bill Gates medication to hide an STD from his wife.
Yeah, so first I think we want to ensure that, again, we think that these interviews should be videotaped and released immediately. He has been asked about those emails. I think he'll continue to be asked about those emails. I think what we can say right now is that Mr. Gates does believe that Mr. Epstein would write emails that were oftentimes untrue. I think he spoke to that in some of the questioning, that he denies obviously some of those claims, and that he felt that Mr. Epstein would write emails to himself and just say things that were not true or didn't happen as Mr. Gates remembers them. And so I think to answer that question, Mr. Gates also was very clear that he was never introduced to women or girls or anyone underage by Mr. Epstein, and he made that clear multiple times. But he'll continue to be asked about those emails. So that was brought up. Any other questions?
Yeah. It sounds like one of the big things today is that Gates has named other individuals in Epstein's orbit. Are these individuals with the Gates Foundation? Are these other high-profile businessmen? Can you categorize?
Yeah, I think that he did mention a few names of folks involved within the Gates Foundation or the Gates orbit that we're interested in speaking with. He also reiterated some names of folks that we have heard before. I'll just say, for example, Larry Summers, of which he was involved with in other meetings with Mr. Epstein or other activities, who we haven't spoken with. And look, Mr. Summers is someone that this committee has not had a chance to speak with, that we would like to speak with. It seems that his name continues to come up as someone that was fairly close to Epstein, and so that was an example of some of the names that Mr. Gates is giving us that we want to continue and to hear from and answer questions.
Mr. Ranking Member,
Go ahead in there.
One of your colleagues had come out earlier and said, several of you have said that, I'll stand up to that he's cooperating. One of your colleagues said that he was a bit combative as well. So is it both that he's cooperating but combative? Is he talking in short sentences? What exactly is the
I think any witness on occasion is going to be a little combative. He is pushing back on certain things. I think you'll see that in the transcript. But he's answering the questions, and so I think that I think he is being cooperative in answering the questions, but he's certainly pushing back. I think that one thing that you've heard pretty often is that Mr. Gates was aware that Jeffrey Epstein had been convicted and for a horrific crime, and continued to interact with him to seek money for his foundation. And I think that obviously we would agree was a horrific judgment call. It's not something that I think the average person thinks was something that somebody should be doing, and that's something I think that Mr. Gates has to atone for, and certainly he's doing that through his foundation and his family.
And then to follow up on that, did he explain why he continued to pursue donors?
Does anyone else want to answer that question? Or? Go ahead.
Well, this is actually the question line that I pressed primarily with Mr. Gates on. The language that he used is that in spite of knowing Mr. Epstein's reputation, he saw a narrow role for accessing potential donors for his global health initiatives. And so when I asked him, are you saying that the ends justified the means? He said, well, that's probably too strong of language, but I felt that getting billions of dollars for global health was worth it.
One of the other aspects of this was that there were people within the Gates Foundation who worked for Bill Gates who were steering Epstein into his orbit and actually allowed him to have greater credibility than he otherwise should have had.
That's right. Any final questions? Yes. Okay. We're going to wrap this up. So yeah.
Can you explain why this is a closed-door testimony? Isn't this something that the American public would be interested in and want?
Yeah, we agree. Well, let's be really clear. We want public hearings. We want this videotaped. We want these under oath. We want these released to the American public. But that's a decision that Chairman Comer and the majority get to make by being in the majority. And I do think it's very unfortunate this continues. It's got to end. We should be opening these to the American public. And we're gonna take one last question, then we're gonna wrap this up. Did you remember your question? Okay.
So, in his opening statement, Gates alleged that there was blackmail happening. Essentially, Epstein was leveraging information about his extramarital affairs to put pressure on him. Do you believe that? Is there evidence for that? And then do you think that's a pattern with other wealthy people?
Yeah, sure. I think there are elements of that. Yes, I think that there were a couple of extramarital affairs that Epstein found out about from close associates of Mr. Gates, and we're not sure exactly who. He has his suspects. We also have ideas about who it might have been, but that definitely was an influence, and it was a pressuring method, a lot like with Les Wexner. We saw, I think that Epstein saw a vulnerability and tried to use that as leverage. You can call it blackmail or anything else, but that was definitely a tactic in this approach. Yeah.
And a tactic that we have found he uses that over and over again. He's used it with women, used it with those he employed, used it with other powerful men, and so the theme of blackmail, the theme of using his power information against others is very common. That's all, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
How would you describe Mr. Gates'
All right, back here in the Live Impact News studio with the conclusion of that sort of rotating representative press conference outside of what was a closed-door interview with Bill Gates by the House Oversight Committee. Now, the Republican James Comer, the chairman of that committee, formally requested that Gates testify after Gates appeared multiple times in the documents released by the Justice Department as a part of its Epstein probe. Before the interview on Wednesday, Comer told reporters that no one's accusing Bill Gates of any wrongdoing. We also will note here before we move forward that there was some reporting from the Associated Press surrounding Bill Gates' statements. In an opening statement, Gates said he should never have met with Epstein in the first place, but that he never witnessed nor had any indication that Epstein was engaged in ongoing criminal conduct. Nonetheless, due to his presence in those documents, spoken to by the House Oversight Committee today in a closed-door interview. Any further reporting that comes from this, we will bring to you as soon as we receive it. Now, it's 1:19 p.m. Typically, we'll have done our local weather forecast by now. You may have noticed that has not happened. We do expect to have a meteorologist in with us at 2 o'clock. For now, we're going to take a break. When we get back, we will likely head out to D.C. for one of the major headlines of the day, President Trump signing some new spending legislation into law or into action. We will be right back with that news coming up next. All right, welcome back to Live Impact News. Now, a little earlier, President Donald Trump was live in the Oval Office to commemorate the signing of a bill that was passed last night by the House of Representatives. This bill will fund the United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement, otherwise known as ICE, as well as border control through 2029. It is to the tune of $70 billion, $38 billion or so for ICE, $26 billion for Border Patrol. That's narrowly passed through the House by the count of 214 to 212, just passing through the House of Representatives in order to make it over to President Trump's desk. Now, this is in addition to the $140 billion that Congress allocated for ICE and border protection last year as a part of Trump's big spending bill. Now, he was live signing that legislation. After he signed the legislation, he took questions from the assembled press. So what we're going to do is actually fast forward past the signing of the bill and listen in on the Q&A portion of this event from this morning. Now, before we even do that, I am going to read a tweet that was sent out, or a Truth Social post that was sent out by President Trump at 7:03 a.m. this morning in regards to the conflict with Iran. Fire exchanged between Iran and the United States here recently, as the term ceasefire continues to take on new meaning here when in regards to the war in Iran. Our most recent update in terms of activity is the U.S. military says it fired on a tanker trying to transport oil from Iran. We know that yesterday there was a helicopter crash that was deemed an attack on that United States helicopter by the words of President Donald Trump. And so those airstrikes today come against Iran as what is sort of described as retaliation to Iran firing back on military bases of the United States within the region, which brings us back to this Truth Social post. Quote, Iran's military is a complete and total mess. Much of it, like their Navy and Air Force, doesn't even exist anymore. They have been completely defeated. Iran is all talk and no action. The bully of the Middle East is dead. They've taken too long to negotiate a deal that would have been great for them. Now they will have to pay the price. President Donald J. Trump. A lot of that rhetoric early on, frankly, a lot of the contents of this post in general are very similar to what we've heard over the course of the last 2 weeks from President Trump, as there's been that back and forth of negotiation, pursuit of peace, negotiations fall apart, attacks that are not deemed sufficient enough to break the ceasefire. But that last part, another threat from President Trump towards Iran. They've taken too long to negotiate a deal that would have been great for them. Now they will have to pay the price. We see today the U.S. launching airstrikes against Iran. And, of course, that helicopter yesterday that was shot down deemed an attack on said helicopter by President Trump. All context that I wanted to add before we listen to the Q&A, as there's a good chance that President Trump will be asked about the conflict in Iran. I want to make sure that we all know where that stands going into it as those developments come hour by hour. Okay, let's listen to the president from just about an hour and a half ago in Washington.
Taken too long to get to a deal. I want to make sure I quote you correctly. You said that now they will have to pay the price. Yeah. What did you mean by that specifically?
Well, we're going to be attacking them very hard.
Resuming bombing?
Yeah, well, we are. Based on the helicopter, I guess we have the right to do that. You know, they shot down a very incredible, actually an incredible machine. And at first they said they didn't do it, then they admitted they did it. It's sort of easy because we have the bomb. We actually have the bomb. Got very lucky that bomb didn't explode. That bomb was lodged in the helicopter. It didn't explode. It was on fire, but it didn't explode. Those two guys, they knew how to fly, but they got very lucky. And then we had the unmanned boat going very, very fast at speeds that you wouldn't want to go. That's why it's unmanned, I guess, because nobody can go in that. But they rescued. So both people are, fortunately, the pilots are okay. Now, look, I've been working with Iran for a number of months, and they should sign their deal. It's a good deal. It doesn't give them the right to have a nuclear weapon. In fact, it totally prohibits them from ever having a nuclear weapon. And it was just tap, tap, tap. I don't know what they're doing. So they then shot at our helicopter, very expensive helicopter, by the way, but much more importantly, the two men, fortunately, they're okay. But an amazing rescue. If you ever get a clip, you won't believe the rescue, how cool it was. the equipment we have. Look, we have the strongest military in the world. And I gave them a break at the request of Pakistan, the Field Marshal and the Prime Minister of Pakistan are great. We stopped them from going to war with India. You would have had a nuclear war if it wasn't for me. But they became friendly to me, very friendly, and they're close to Iran, and they worked, and they still are working on trying them to do what's right. But we want a deal that's meaningful. We want a deal that works. We don't want to just have a Barack Hussein Obama deal, JCPOA, the worst deal. That was a path to a nuclear. It's the exact opposite. You know, I like on television, they say, oh, they should have kept that deal. First of all, it was over. It was a short-term deal. But that deal was a path to a nuclear weapon. This is a path against a nuclear. You can't have a nuclear weapon. His was a path to a nuclear weapon. They were developing during his administration nuclear weapon. If they had a nuclear weapon, there'd be no Israel, there'd be no Middle East, and they would have absolutely shot at us. So we'll see what happens. But we hit them hard yesterday, and we're going to hit them again hard today, in case you miss it, in case you don't turn on your television set. And we'll see what happens with the deal. We were really close to a deal, but they keep tapping us along. They keep playing us for suckers because you know what? They dealt with some very stupid presidents. I have to say that. I'm embarrassed to say it. Some very stupid people were sitting here. Yeah.
Mr. President, you mentioned the Senate race in Maine. Are you all in supporting Susan Collins? Does she have your full support and endorsement in her Senate
She does
re-election?
because she's a sane woman. She's not my best friend at all. These guys are. I get along with, but I have some. But she's a sane person, and she's a person that never missed a vote in many years. I mean, she's like had 10,000 votes. She had 10,000 votes. She never missed a vote. Unfortunately, because sometimes she voted against me. You know, look, she's a sane woman, and she's a respected person. Maybe a little different ideology than me, but this guy is a thug. He's a fake. He's a fake thug. He's a phony. I made a lot of money picking out phonies. He's a real phony. He's bad. He's a bad person.
Mr. President, are you going to go back to attack, or are you thinking of attacking Iranian power plants and bridges, as you've?
Well, I'm not going to say that to you, but I can do that. Look, I could knock out. We have the most powerful. I built the military with these people approving it. They approved numbers that nobody would have ever thought we would have been. But we built it. We gave a lot to Ukraine through Biden. He gave a lot of money, a lot. But we're in great shape. We have a lot of storage capacity, but he gave a lot. And if you look at what's happened, when I left, our cupboards were full. He gave it. Now I sell it to the European Union, and they give it to Ukraine for the most part. But we have the strongest military anywhere in the world, and sometimes you'll have to use it. And we have to remember. And when people hear this, Iran very simply cannot have a nuclear weapon, and they won't. And they've agreed to that. All they have to do is they have to start signing a paper. It's fully negotiated. We have a fully negotiated, but they're tapping and tapping. And I say, all right, let's give them a couple of more days. They're tapping because it's a meaningful paper. They know when they sign that paper, it's meaningful. The Obama deal, JCPOA, one of the worst, one of the dumbest documents I've ever seen. Yeah, please. Go ahead.
Mr. President, when are you meeting with tech executives about the government taking a stake in AI companies, and what could this partnership look like?
About AI? Well, I can say this. We're having a meeting with them. It's an amazing industry. It's bigger than any industry anyone's ever seen. We are leading China by a lot. And, whoever leads that is going to really lead the world to a large extent. That's how big it is. And I'm going to have meetings with the top 12 or 15 executives very shortly. And we're talking about giving back something to the public. And if we do that, the public will become very rich, the people in our country, because that's the kind of money we're talking about. And I think they'll do that, and I think it'll make it very popular.
What would you like to add? Thank you, President. I have two questions. First of all, Turkish President Erdogan keeps threatening Israel. Do you think there is a chance of a conflict between Israel and Turkey, and will you sell F-35 to
Well, as you know, he's a very good friend of mine. And we've worked very well together. I like him a lot. I'm not supposed to say that because the press will say, oh, he likes Erdogan. No, he's a hell of a leader and a strong person, very strong person. I haven't heard that at all. If I did, I'd call him, and I think I'd make sure that things were fine. I don't think that will happen with Turkey. Not as long as I'm president, because he respects me and I respect him. But beyond that, we have a good friendship. So, you know, we'll see.
And my second question, that's my second question. Besides peace in the Middle East, what do you wish yourself for your birthday?
For my birthday. Well, I'll go a step bigger. Peace for the world, okay? Peace for the world. Middle East, yes. Peace for the whole world. Yeah.
Mr. President, there is a New Jersey Democratic congressional nominee over in the 12th district. His name is Adam Homily. He has a connection to the blind sheikh.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if I could get your thoughts
I think it's
on that.
terrible. Okay? I think it's terrible. I've seen it. I mean, he was more, you know, now he's trying to sort of say, yeah, I sort of knew him. He didn't know him. They were very good friends. And you look at you go back and look at what happened during that period of time. He was a witness at the trial for him. He was a positive witness for him. He said the most glowing things. The guy knocked down the World Trade Center, admitted that he knocked down the World Trade Center. I think it's another one, if you look. I actually think the one in Maine is worse, because he's just an outright pig. He's like a pig. I watched him a couple of times. He's like a pig. That's what he reminds me of. You know, I come up with good names for people. I don't want to stick him with that one, although I think pigs would be very upset about it. Go ahead.
Mr. President, July 1st is coming fast. How confident are you that you'll be able to renew the USMCA, and what more do you expect from Canada at this point?
Well, I'm not looking to renew it. I don't, you know, I mean, I made the deal, and the primary reason I made the deal is that NAFTA was the worst trade deal I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And I made it better, but I had the right to terminate. And, you know, with NAFTA, we didn't have the right to terminate. I had to get these senators to approve that deal. That was a tough thing, congressman too. NAFTA had no termination. So, I mean, I've never said this before, but I'll tell you what my thinking was. NAFTA was a disaster for our country. The worst trade deal ever made, by far. You know, they had typos in, okay? And they were supposed to correct them. And they never corrected them when they were signed. They knew there were typos. And there's a process for that. You state your claim and, you know, you get a change. They had typos on percentages. Or maybe somebody wrote, and that was for years. They never ran, they had horrible, all against us. So it probably wasn't typos. They never, NAFTA was the worst trade deal we ever had. USMCA did one thing that I loved. After 6 years, it comes up for renewal. I don't know that I'm going to renew it because, to be honest with you, the United States does much better. Hey, we don't need anything that Canada has. We don't need anything that Mexico has, but they need everything that we have. And they have to treat us better. You know, with Mexico and Canada, we have trade deficits. We should have surpluses with them. We don't need their cars. We don't need their lumber. We don't need their energy. We don't need anything that they have. So the primary thing that I got, it was a much better deal than NAFTA. Much, much better. It was sort of a good deal. But it was a great deal for one reason. It gave the right to terminate. And who would have thought that I was, you know, they just didn't want to have it during the 4-year period when I was president. So now they made it so that I wouldn't be president. And because they rigged the election, the second election, as you probably hear and probably know, most of you know that happened, and now it's been proven, and it will be proven as time goes by even more so. We have things that you won't believe. When we release the full files, you're not going to believe how crooked the 2020 election was. But who would have thought that it comes due in my term? I mean, this was, thank you very much. So it was very important that we be able to do that. So we're talking to them. We'll see if we do something.
Okay, back here in the Live Impact studio, discussion about NAFTA there, the North American Free Trade Agreement between Canada, the United States, and Mexico that's been in effect since January 1st, 1994, and that has often come under criticism from President Donald Trump. Another acronym that was used earlier in this Q&A, the JCPOA. That is another agreement that Trump was extremely critical of and ended up actually getting rid of. It was signed in 2015 by Iran and several world powers, including the United States, placing significant restrictions on Iran's nuclear program in exchange for sanctions relief. President Trump withdrew the U.S. from the deal in 2018, claiming it failed to curtail Iran's missile program and regional influence. In that particular Q&A, he was claiming that it provided a pathway to a nuclear weapon rather than a barrier to a nuclear weapon. The agreement, formerly known as the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, is an accord between Iran and those world powers, and under its terms, Iran agreed to dismantle much of its nuclear program and open its facilities to more extensive international inspections in exchange for billions of dollars worth of sanctions relief. So that was the deal in place, 2015, really a landmark international deal that was torn up by President Donald Trump in 2018, or withdrawn from more formally by President Trump in 2018. Today, we stand with a war in Iran to attempt to prevent them from having a nuclear weapon, a war that continues on with mutually exchanged strikes as recently as this morning. So one more update that we'll give on that Q&A. You heard him talking about the one from Maine and calling that person a pig. I think that context allows us to assume that he's talking about Graham Plattner. Graham Plattner won a primary election in Maine and will now be running for a seat in Maine against Susan Collins, longtime representative from Maine. And Plattner has had a number of controversies to go along with a unique position as a candidate, someone who does not claim politics as his life's work, or had not up to this point, and had been in the armed services and has worked as a sort of a blue-collar worker over time, and has now won the opportunity to run against Susan Collins for a seat in Maine. President Trump not mincing words when addressing Graham Plattner, again, calling him a pig, and then going so far as to indicate that the pigs would be upset at being grouped in to that description. So it'll be interesting to see how involved President Trump is in that election in Maine, as clearly he has taken an interest in the movement that Graham Plattner is building in his attempt to become a senator from Maine. Now, the Democratic Party is dead set on winning the Senate in these midterm elections, and that race in Maine, Graham Plattner versus Susan Collins, certainly is one that, you know, where they may be able to gain some power in the Senate, to gain a seat in the Senate, so that this will not be the last time we cover that race here on Live Impact News. For the time being, we're going to go to break here. You see the White House there on your screen. What's that behind the White House there? That is the stage for a UFC fight. The UFC will be live from the White House this weekend. So in case you're wondering what that structure is back there, there will be a UFC card held back there this weekend. Okay, let's take a break here. When we get back, if there's no live events going on, we'll head back out to the White House and hear from President Trump. All right, welcome back to the live Impact News Studio. 1:43 p.m. We do not have any live events happening right now. We anticipate a World Cup press conference live from Mexico around 2 p.m. But for the time being, we're going to head back out to the White House. Q&A continues with President Donald Trump.
Downsizing the DNI? Can you talk about your
Well, yeah, people have wanted that downsize for a long time. But many people don't want it at all. A lot of people thought it was a duplication. Yeah, a lot of people thought it was a duplication. He's done a great job at Fannie Mae. And, you know, you take Freddie Mac, the value of that has increased so much since I've been in charge. You know, I had the right to sell that. And in my first term, a group came to see me wanting to buy it, and they offered me exactly 10% of what it's worth today. And I didn't want to do it because I didn't want to look foolish when they flipped it a year later for hundreds of billions of dollars more. So I kept it. And I put him in charge as soon as I got here, and he's done an amazing job. Could be worth $1 trillion.
That's a pretty different portfolio, though.
Well, it is, I know, but you know, smart people are smart people. I always say I'd rather have smart than experience, but experience is good too. I would say this, he's going to be there for a short while we pick somebody else. We're interviewing 5 different people. They're all very good, very different, and we'll put somebody there. But people want it downsized. The senators and the Congress people, I think everybody wants it downsized. And many people, I think, and I won't speak for Todd, but and I'm not sure how Todd feels. But by the way, he's great. I hope you people have given him an easy run because he's very busy. He doesn't need stupid people saying, why didn't you get a higher mark at a certain college? Because he's highly educated. He was a great student. He's great at everything he's done. But how come he got a B+? See, they'll go after him for getting a B+ instead of an A, but the other guy can be a thug and let him run. He's okay. He's fine. The one thing about him, it's great, because every time they bring something up, he's worse than anybody that we've ever seen. And I hope the Republicans are going to use him as your standard bearer. When they say that, gee, yeah, Eric, we don't like the way you dress today. It's unacceptable, right? And then all you have to do is point to this thug that they're trying to put in. So pretty much that's the way it is. He's going to do a good job. He's going to be there for a very short period of time. He will be superseded and replaced by somebody that's going to have the job permanently. Okay?
What do you think the Democrats saying they'll hold up the...
I don't care what they say. Democrats. They're not Democrats. They're Democrats. They're dumb people, young.
You need their votes.
Then I guess something's going to happen. No, we can't let them extort us. I told the guys today, we can't let them. They've done it on numerous occasions. I said we can. What we're signing today has been amazing, but they tried to extort us, and eventually, and they were losing tremendous support because they're extorting on law and order, and they can't win on law and order. People want law and order. They don't want crime. And that's essentially what they were doing. And ultimately, they could not take the heat. But we can't let them extort.
Mr. President, it starts tomorrow. And
what starts?
The World Cup.
Yeah.
Soccer World Cup, football World Cup.
Most successful World Cup they've ever had.
Exactly.
They've never sold tickets at that level. They've never sold that many tickets so quickly. It's amazing because you don't think of soccer. We use the word football, soccer, right? But you don't think of soccer in this country. It's the most successful. I spoke to Johnny this morning. He's fantastic, and he's the boss. He said there's never been anything close to what's happened.
But because of the success, some people are afraid that it's going to be harder and harder to get visas to come from outside. Can you
Well, we're working on it very closely to make sure the right people come into our country. I will. I will.
Are you concerned, Mr. President, about the latest inflation number which came out this morning? Could that be a
No, I love it. The numbers were great. You know what I really love? I love the inflation. You know why? Because as soon as this war is over, you know, I can say it now. Something you didn't know. Do you know we've been taking out millions of barrels of oil? Nobody knows it. You know who doesn't know about it? Iran, until right now. We took out the other night 22 ships, late at night with no lights, because they don't have any radar, because we blasted the crap out of it. We took out, that's why oil's $85 a barrel. I mean, you take a look. Remember when I did this, I said, look, the one bad thing will be we hit the best economy we've ever hit. And I said to my people, I had Scott, I had Howard, I had Pete, I had all of them. I had Todd in the room. I said, the one thing we have to do now, we had just hit the highest stock market in history, highest 401ks in history. Everything was going well. And I said, I hate to do this to you guys, but Iran's going to have a nuclear weapon very soon. We have to go and attack. So we hit them with the B-2 bombers, which took a lot of courage. It was totally successful. We buried it, very hard to get. But now we had to make the second move. And I said, you know, the bad part is the stock market will go down by a lot based on predictions of experts, like 25%. And it was worth it. To me, it was worth it, not to have a nuclear weapon. And the other thing is that oil would go to $250 a barrel. It's at 85, and which is pretty amazing. And here's the key. We just hit today another stock market high. 74 in my short time here, 74 days we hit stock market all-time historical highs. Nobody can believe it. The Dow, the S&P. S&P was at 7,000. They said in 4 years, maybe 5 years. It will never hit it during the term. It was too much. I hit it in my first year. I hit on the Dow, it was 50,000 was an impossible number. They said 5, 6 years out, you'd hit. Well, I hit it in my first year. And now I get everyone in the room and say, congratulations, but now I'm going to take it down a little bit because we cannot let Iran have a nuclear weapon. And they all agreed with me, Todd, you remember. Everybody agreed. And we took a little journey down to Iran. We first stopped off at Venezuela, by the way, and we have paid for that war many, many times over. And we have great relationships with the people of Venezuela. We get along with them great. It was a great success. It was a one-day war. It was really, to be exact, 48 minutes of fury, and it was over. And Venezuela is doing great. Relationships with the people are great. It's become a happy country, believe it or not. I mean, it's become a happy country. And we're taking out millions of barrels of oil from Venezuela. And then we went to Iran. And essentially, we've done the same thing. It doesn't look as pretty, but there's no Navy. 159 ships at the bottom of the sea. There's no Air Force. All of their planes are blown up. Most of their drones are gone. Most of their drone-making ability is gone. Most of their missiles are gone. All of their leadership is gone, so they replaced it. All of that leadership is gone, so they replaced it. And that's the people we're dealing with now. And I think they're going to want to make a deal, but we're going to find out.
Inflation to come down between now
and when the war is over?
Yes.
It's coming down.
I know you can't.
It's going to come down like a rock. And again, we're taking out millions, which I'm just announcing today for the first time. But we've been taking out millions of barrels of oil. Millions of barrels. Every night we took out oil. But now I'm going to tell you because they just figured it out. So now that they figured it out, I can tell you. It was very hard for me. I wanted to say it so badly, but I didn't want to ruin it. But it was very hard. But millions of barrels of oil has come out. And that's why it's at $85, $90 a barrel instead of $250. But we have the greatest military in the world, the toughest military in the world, just the best in every way. Nobody even close. There's no military that's even close. I rebuilt it during my first term. I'm using it now. When this conflict is over, Todd said, please go into conflict, right? As opposed to the word war. He didn't like the word war, but it's sort of a conflict. It's a military operation. When it's over, you will see oil drop to where it was before. We were getting gasoline. Just before it started, I was in Iowa, and we passed gas stations, $1.85 a gallon. And we'll be back at those levels very soon. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Russ. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you.
I'm Joe Shine.
Wait, you guys.
You're the only ones. Yeah. See, Biden.
All right, as you can see, following the Q&A, the legislation is in fact signed once again that legislation, a bill funding U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, as well as Border Patrol through 2029. $70 billion, $38 billion for ICE, $26 billion for Border Patrol, and a 214 to 212 passage in the House. By 2 votes, that funding gets passed through the House. Now, this is in addition to the $140 billion that Congress allocated for ICE and border protection as a part of last year's Trump spending bill. So President Trump, a major part of his initiative to increase deportations, accomplished today with that spending bill, Trump signing it into law, and now us back here in studio at the conclusion of the Q&A with time for a commercial break and more news when we return. All right, welcome back into the live Impact News studio here on the 13 News Now app. We are going to switch gears, talk a little bit about the world of sports here on Live Impact News for a couple of reasons. One, it is an incredible time in the sports calendar, and two, a lot of those sports are located right here on ABC. Now, number one, we have the NHL Finals in action last night. Another thrilling game in the NHL Finals. It is comebacks galore in the Stanley Cup Finals. One team goes up big, the other team catches up, and then things go from there. That has been standard protocol here for a few games in a row in the finals. One incredible goal scored last night in particular by Jordan Staal, and it has been a phenomenal series a series that is now tied 2-2 with the Hurricanes winning in Las Vegas, and now the series goes back to Carolina. That is on ABC, and the next game will be tomorrow night, June 11th. As for tonight on ABC, the NBA Finals is back. Now, this game is utterly critical. It is a 2-1 series lead for the New York Knicks over the San Antonio Spurs. There hasn't been a home team to win a game yet. New York won twice in San Antonio, and then San Antonio won Game 3 in New York in a game that was chaotic in more ways than one. And so now Game 4 is absolutely pivotal. The difference between a 2-2 series and a 3-1 series is a chasm far greater than a single digit could possibly symbolize. A 2-2 series, and it is anyone's championship to win. Basically a 3-game playoff to win the title. A 3-1 series is a near incomprehensible lead for the underdog to overcome. It has happened once in NBA Finals history, and the team that was able to execute that comeback had LeBron James on it. So if the Knicks win tonight, they're in the driver's seat for the title. The Spurs win tonight, and it is anyone's championship to seize. This game is utterly critical, and we do believe that the vibes in Madison Square Garden will reflect that. Now, we're going to hear from a couple of the stars on these respective teams. Let's begin with potentially the future GOAT, the wonderkind, the alien Victor Wembanyama. After a difficult Game 2, including a bit of a collapse at the end of the game, Wemby performed in a stellar manner in Game 3. Another clutch performance from the 22-year-old. Nia Campbell, should we bring in the people's producer, Nia Campbell, here? Nia Campbell, Victor Wembanyama is 22 years old. He's carrying the hopes of a city on his shoulders, and he's doing it in a very high-pressure environment. When I was 22 years old, I felt a lot of pressure just to figure out what I was going to have for lunch that day. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine being 22 years old doing this on this stage?
I couldn't. I think this is very awesome.
It's astounding.
Not been watching.
You've been keeping track, though.
I have been.
You've been getting updates.
2-1.
2-1.
Okay.
Exactly my point. So, 22 years old. Tonight, I would pick the Knicks if I had to pick. I do believe that the Knicks have settled in. They're back home. That last game was utterly chaotic. And there's one thing that you simply cannot fake. You cannot fake innate human desperation.
Is that a bias?
You can't pretend to be desperate, right? You can only be desperate if you actually are desperate. And in Game 3, the Spurs were desperate and the Knicks weren't. This game, I think both teams are desperate, and I think the Knicks have proven to be the better team thus far in this series. We'll see how things go. I think it's going to be close. I think these teams are really evenly matched. I would pick the Knicks tonight. Let's hear, however, from Victor Wembanyama, who certainly has the talent to prove me wrong.
It's just playoffs.
We're going to go Tanya in the back left, about 7th row. Thank you.
Hey, Victor. Tanya Ganguly, New York Times. Yesterday, you had this comment about when you're on the road, it feels like you're playing 5-on-6, and same when you're at home in the opposite direction. And you kind of smiled, and I wondered, do you like that a little bit? Is it kind of fun for you to be in that scenario where it feels like there's an additional player against you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, both scenarios are very exciting. This is why I like lively crowds, active crowds. Both at home and, it's always active at home, but both at home and on the road. Because at home, it's an extra motivation because you want to give the people who support you a good show. And on the road, you want to do the opposite.
Right here in the front.
Victor, bonjour, en français, Sami Sadik pour l'équipe. Je me souviens qu'après le match 6 contre Oklahoma City, tu avais dit que gagner en NBA, ce n'était pas forcément plus important que gagner en Benjamin en région. Dans toutes les finales que tu as disputées à tous les niveaux, est-ce qu'il y en a une ou deux qui t'ont donné des leçons qui te servent pour cette finale NBA dont tu te souviens?
Une en particulier, non. Mais en fait, il y en a tellement qui m'ont marqué. J'ai souvent été en finale dans ma carrière, de Poussin au championnat de France. Donc non, je dirais qu'elles m'ont toutes, elles m'aident toutes pour cette finale NBA, surtout les défaites.
Rachel, next row back.
Hey, Victor. I know that you've heard for a couple of years now,
you have to fail in the playoffs before you can succeed in the playoffs, and what you have been trying to do is so unusual. And I guess part of the equation is, can you learn fast enough during the playoffs that you don't have to fail first, that you can just succeed all the way? So what have you learned in this first run through the finals that you can apply in real time so that you can finish what you've started here?
We will see, but my bet would be yes, it's possible. And what we've learned, I mean, many things over these playoffs. Many things. Brace with your hands and not with your chin. Hit below the head if you do. And many other things, but most importantly, be relentless.
Dan, on the left side, fourth row.
Dan Devine, Yahoo Sports. Victor, you opened the game with a real flurry yesterday. Lob dunk, sort of roll for a dunk. Real impactful in the paint early. Was that a particular point of emphasis for you, getting established lower on the floor early in the game?
Not yesterday more than any other game, but especially early in games, you have to put pressure on the rim, because it's the most efficient shots. And then we look for other options.
Michael, second row and center.
Michael Wright, ESPN. Vic, this is kind of not basketball related, but given your involvement with the fan base in San Antonio, the Jackals, all that, what are your thoughts about some of these fans getting attacked outside of MSG and Spurs?
Fans get attacked?
Yes.
I didn't know that. But my thoughts, of course, is that, we can't forget it's a game. We're just playing a game out there. And I am all for, passion, but to the respect of each other, it's unacceptable.
Jared, here on the right side, standing.
Jared Weiss, The Athletic. You've worked so much over your career on your proprioception, like your awareness of where you are in space. Obviously, your size is your huge advantage, but you're able to do things like you can knock the ball out of the air to dunk it, things that we don't really see other players do. How have you built that over the years, and how has that helped you going up against probably the hardest defenses you've ever faced?
I think the key, say you had a young player that you were trying to teach this to, the key would be to not play on your strengths all the time, especially in development. I've received this one piece of advice a long time ago that basically said, like, as a kid, you're not working for the present right now. Right now, me myself, I'm working for right now. I don't even care about next season where we have to win game 4. As a kid, whether you're 10, 13, 16 years old, you're working for the future. You're trying to develop your range of skills. So I would say, long story short, play on your weaknesses, not only your strengths.
Fourth row on the left, Chris.
Vic, Chris Mannix with Sports Illustrated. You've had 3 years of seeing teams try to do a bunch of different things to defend you. In what ways have you gotten better at dissecting what they're doing out there on the floor in real time?
I think I got much better at it, because watching film of the previous years, sometimes I was just shooting shots, like even still to this day. And sometimes it goes in, but the efficiency, the purposefulness, is so much better now.
Last question, standing all the way in the back.
What's up, Vic? It's AJD Bonsa, NBA player correspondent. So in my opinion, you changed it a lot in Game 3. How do you keep that momentum? And I seen you were going inside a lot more. Was that your strategy in Game 3?
On the side?
Inside, like inside the paint.
Yeah. I said the goal is always to go inside. The best shot in the game is an alley-oop. It's the most efficient shot. But teams don't just let you do that. But I think what we've built with this team is that we've got an identity that makes everybody dangerous, and sometimes it'll pay off. And over a season, over a playoff series, we're gonna get easy buckets and inside buckets like I did last night.
Yeah, appreciate you.
Thank you, Victor. De'Aaron Fox will be in next.
Okay, let's get started. The first row, or sorry, it's third row. Mike.
Hey, Carl. Mike Vorkanoff with The Athletic. Through the series so far, you haven't scored a point yet in the fourth quarter, and you've taken just 6 shots. Is there something that's been different about the fourth, whether it's later in the game and there's less energy, or how they're playing you than the rest of the series in which you've been so good so far?
I think it's a combination. We have a game plan and we want to execute it. So just trying to execute our game plan, especially when we get in the fourth, is vital, and just doing what I can to execute it at the highest level.
Back left, Christian.
Carl, Christian Winfield, New York Daily News. It feels like whenever you guys fall into rust this season, it stems from lack of ball movement, lack of player movement. Just one, why do you think that is? And two, how do you guys get back into the flow of the ball movement and player movement that's gotten you guys on the winning track?
Yeah, I mean, we got to pick up the ball movement for sure. We have to. And two, just we have, 13 games in a row, 50 days of film to show what it looks like when we're at our best. So, we got good film. We'll get back to our fundamentals, what makes us great, what made us great, and get back to work tomorrow.
Fourth row on the left, Jared.
Jared Schwartz, New York Post. Kat, you guys have talked so much this year about slow starts to games.
Yeah.
That's 3 games in the finals that you've fallen to early deficits. That was something you fixed in the regular season. Is there something that you guys learned from then that you can apply to now to sort of correct that problem?
Yeah, we'll have to figure it out. We'll have to figure it out because, like you said, in every game we played here in the finals, we put ourselves in a position where we have to start hitting immediately. And every time, we find a way to get back into the game, but we can't trust that result's going to happen every single time. So, the Spurs have done a great job starting in the game, dictating the pace and dictating how the game's going. We have to try to be the first ones to throw the first punch.
Third row in the middle, Dan.
Dan Devine, Yahoo Sports. Carl, the cross match is nothing new to you. You've seen a lot of sort of wing defenders, smaller defenders, but they're throwing a lot of different ones at you. Like, you get Castle for some, Vassell for some, Fox. Like, does the variety or the versatility of that do anything differently for how you approach your game?
Just whatever the defense presents itself to me, I just want to, I solve that puzzle. So, like you said, in my whole career, I've seen a bunch of cross-matching, and, utilizing that experience now is most important, more than ever.
Carl, Eduardo Villalpando, how does it feel to be representing the Dominican community here in the finals? You've been getting a lot of support from the DR, and also wanted to ask you if you know a little bit about David Jones-Garcia. He's also Dominican in the Spurs roster.
Yeah, no, I do. I actually got to say hi to him after last game, so... it means a lot to have my mother's country behind me and to have them really not only supporting me, but supporting him as well in this journey. This is a monumental moment for Dominican Republic. Shout out to Al, being in my knowledge of right now, being the first one to bring the trophy back to DR. So to have another moment where DR is represented in the NBA Finals is a true honor, and to be able to and have my flag proudly represented it means everything.
Standing here on the left, Zach.
Zach Brazil, New York Post. Kat, you said last night you guys didn't do what you had been doing the last 13 games, that you tried to do something different and it didn't work. What exactly do you think you guys tried to do different than you had been doing in that streak?
We've played defense at a high level. I thought that we made things that we were the details of the game, the details that made us special. We were too relaxed in them, and we didn't execute them at the level that you guys are used to seeing. So doing that, and also just the fundamentals of what our team is and how we play, we didn't do that for 48 minutes, and it's something that has got us this 13-game winning streak, and playing around with the game against a great team, you're asking for disaster, and that's what we got.
Second row standing on the right, Rachel.
Hey, Carl.
Hey.
Rachel Nichols. Jalen was just in there, and he was saying that when you got traded here, he didn't really know what to expect. He didn't know you that well.
Yeah.
And he says now you're one of his great friends.
Mhm.
And I was just curious, what were sort of the beginnings of that friendship?
Yeah.
And how would you describe your relationship now?
Did he say that with Josh around or no?
He did not.
Ooh, Josh is gonna be jealous, and I think our friendship is built off respect. We've had so much respect for each other as opponents, and now to be teammates. Spending true time with each other as teammates. And I've always said we spend more time with each other than our families, our kids. So. To see who we truly are on a day-to-day basis and how we truly, treat people and the things that the media says, is it true, is it not? And you're getting to see firsthand what the truth really is. I'm glad I've been able to not only earn his respect even more as a basketball player, but as a man, and for him to appreciate the advice I give him in a daily, in daily life and things I see. It means a lot.
Back right standing.
This is Carolina with the Las Vegas Sports Network and Spurfect. Carl, there's been some viral videos online with Spurs and Knicks fans getting into altercations in the streets. What is your message to NBA fans on being passionate about the NBA game, but also keeping respect for one another?
I mean, the game is built off respect and passion. We want everyone to respect each other. We want everyone to enjoy basketball at its purest state. I mean, it's the NBA Finals. There's no better place to watch basketball. So, leave the physicality to everyone on the court.
Hey,
First
Carl.
row on the right.
Ramón Esteves, Deportes en Línea. Each of the three games has been decided practically by one position. How do you evaluate them?
We just, at the end of the day, you got to find a way to win that one possession. You got to win that game. And yesterday we didn't do enough to make it more difficult for them to not win that possession. They're a great team. They've, like I said before, earned the right to be here. But they got a ton of respect from us, and we have to make it more difficult on them.
Right here in the back.
Hey, Leandro Carranza from NBA Latin America. Talking about matchups, yesterday was the first time Wemby wasn't your primary defender. So I'm curious, do you think that changed the way the Spurs established their defense yesterday?
I don't know. I've watched this film, and you kind of see the game in different lens when you're playing so much. I just seen us not executing the little details that's made us special. I saw their team be great, and we didn't meet, them where the game they brought to MSG yesterday, we didn't meet their level, and and there's a lot of things that we needed to do better for ourselves to give ourselves a chance to win, and we just didn't do.
Hidel Padilla, Filter 360, Puerto Rico. Following his question, you were very effective when Wemby's playing you because you have the speed to go by him, and then you don't have resistance in the basket. Now he's playing off you. So how are you gonna change or adjust your game from the outside to make him switch again and take advantage of him playing you and not playing off you?
I mean, that's for us to, as a team, to find out and see what we want to do. Execute our game plan and get back to what's made us special, that ball movement, and getting the ball, zipping around the court and allowing it to judge who shoots the ball. So I think we have to get back to the details and our fundamentals that's made us special in the last 13-game winning streak.
Thank you, Carl.
Yep.
Details and fundamentals. You will hear that quite a bit watching press conferences featuring athletes like this. Details, fundamentals. Now, that was Karl Anthony Towns. Karl Anthony Towns was quite possibly the critical factor in the Knicks going up 2-0 on the Spurs to start this series on the road. He arguably outplayed Victor Wembanyama in those 2 games, and specifically was able to have some success when being guarded by Wembanyama. Even in Game 3, Karl Anthony Towns was able to guard Wembanyama himself with some success, but offensively, he was not the same player as he was in the first 2 games. His success tonight could be directly correlated with the Knicks' ability to win this game and go up 3-1. We will see. Again, that's ABC, 8:30 p.m., and our 11 o'clock newscast is on directly after that. Now, directly after this commercial break, meteorologist Evan Stewart is here, and he will be joining us for a local forecast coming up next. Okay, welcome back to Live Impact News here on the 13 News Now app. We're joined by Evan Stewart in studio now. Evan, we've kind of made our way from the pleasant, balmy temperatures of the early week, and we've sort of entered into this impending heat wave that is coming our way.
Yeah, today's still not too bad, but yeah, we're definitely going to feel the heat building in over the next couple of days. Temperatures into the mid to upper 90s. Heat index values getting up there over 100 to 105 degrees. So, we had the heat over the weekend, but the humidity wasn't too bad. It's as we get here into this, Thursday and Friday, that we're really going to see that humidity higher, and that bumps up that heat index as well. Now, we are tracking some showers off towards the west, some much needed rain. As you know, we've talked for, weeks and months about the drought situation across the area. And we had some thunderstorms earlier that were back over Lynchburg. That fell apart as it moved eastward. We've seen a couple of sprinkles in some of our western counties, but now we have another batch of thunderstorms. Even had a thunderstorm warning up around Farmville about 15 minutes ago. That's been allowed to expire. It looks like those thunderstorms will likely hold together a little bit longer and impact us a little later on this evening. So not here in the next couple of hours. So if you have plans, here after Live Impact News and before the 4 o'clock news to go out, let the dog go do its business and whatever, then you definitely have time to do that. And then this evening, there'll be a chance at a few showers and thunderstorms. And taking it here, this run of Futurecast not doing the best job of showing, those showers and storms. I think they'll still, sort of be along that line a little bit more as we head towards 4, 5, 6 o'clock. So we'll likely be tracking some showers and temperatures by 11 o'clock down into the 80s. And then the big heat is what builds in during the day tomorrow. Temperatures climbing into the afternoon up into the mid to upper 90s. Feel like 100 degrees. Notice a couple of showers and thunderstorms there sort of popping up, and then maybe a line coming through in the evening. So I think a good portion of the daylight will be dry tomorrow. But we'll see some evening showers and thunderstorms. Some of those could be on the strong side, and then really more of the same going into Friday. Upper 90s to near 100 degrees, and then into the evening, a few showers and storms. And let me go back, because we do have a weather impact alert that is going to be in effect here for Thursday and Friday evening because of the potential for some stronger thunderstorms. You know, it's going to be hot, it's going to be humid. That combined with a system moving in will give us the potential for some stronger thunderstorms. So a weather impact alert for Thursday and Friday evening. Thunderstorms with gusty winds, heavy downpours, and possibly some hail.
And is that something that is going to be scattered? Some people will feel it, some people
Yes.
won't, or is that more widespread? Yeah, that's more, okay.
Yeah, it's going to be more the isolated, you know, if you see the thunderstorms, you know, some of them will be strong to severe. I think it's going to be, you know, maybe 40% of the area will see some thunderstorms. So it's not going to be everybody, you know, it's not like this big line that is just going to come blowing through like we sometimes see with cold fronts where everybody gets something at some point. This is going to be more, you know, isolated to scattered, as you said, you know, 30-40% coverage.
Okay, so we've got that Thursday, Friday weather impact alert. We've got that 24/7 radar right here on this app that you can access anytime. And of course, Evan and our meteorology team will be giving constant updates. Bless you, Naya. So we are now going to look at, you had a 3-day forecast coming up that showcased an incredibly hot Friday especially.
Yes, so let me get to the actual 7-day forecast. And I don't have the weather impact graphics on this one just yet. But yes, we are looking at 96 on Thursday, 98 on Friday. Some isolated thunderstorms, again, weather impact alerts on both Thursday and Friday. And then, you know, even though this is where the weekend's going to be tricky. At 90 on Saturday, 93, doesn't sound like a lot of difference. Saturday will have much less humidity, so it'll feel like 90. The humidity will crank right back up on Sunday, so even though the temperature is 93, it's probably going to feel more like 98, 99, close to 100, you know, into Sunday. So, you know, the numbers there, the temperatures are a little misleading because I think we will see, you know, a noticeable difference in the heat index and what it feels like out there as we go into the weekend. As a matter of fact, I do have a feels like a heat index graphic here that, you know, sort of illustrates that.
That visual right there is drastic, and it really does show you what a difference there's going to be between those 2 days. Really, that Saturday's sandwiched in there with a bunch of hundreds.
Right, and you know, the actual high is going to be 90, and then Sunday 93, but the difference in the humidity, you know, really makes it, you know, feel, you know, quite different. And we might have some heat advisories posted for Friday. You know, once we get a heat index that approaches 105 degrees, you know, that's when we start thinking about heat advisory. So that potential is certainly there as well.
Okay, good to know. Some extreme heat coming up. 101, 105. Be cautious, stay hydrated, seek shade. That is going to be one of those days where you actually could have some heat-related issues. And then look ahead to Saturday, which should be primed, or at least more primed for those outdoor activities, that beach day, that picnic, whatever the case may be.
And then maybe some late day rain on Sunday and some showers into Monday, as it looks like the pattern will start to shift a little bit early next week.
Okay, very good. This looks good. Evan, anything else that you got for us?
No, the main thing is tropics are quiet. There's one little area in the Bay of Campeche that has a 10% chance of development over the next 7 days, so very low end chances there. And otherwise, yeah, tropics are nice and quiet, and that's good news here in mid-June. You know, usually it's late June before we start to see things really start to tick up a little bit, but even then, you know, the peak of hurricane season is in September, so we're just right knocking on the door at the beginning.
All right, Evan Stewart, very patient with us today. We appreciate your time here in the 2 o'clock hour, and we'll see you again this week.
Actually, I'm off the next 2 days.
Oh, congrats.
Yeah,
okay, have some fun. It's going to be hot. Be careful.
Yeah, it is. I'll be out of town. My nephew's graduating high school, so we'll be going.
Congrats to the nephew. Okay, very good. Big things coming for Evan Stewart and the Stewart family. Now, I'm hearing some audio issues. I'd like to note that we are hearing some audio issues in our earpieces. They just began. If you're hearing those at home, we apologize. We're going to get on that during this commercial break. We have a special guest joining us in studio afterwards. Stay with us on Live Impact News.
Testing mic three, testing mic three, testing mic three. Yeah.
Okay, welcome back to Live Impact News here on the 13 News Now app, 2:30 p.m. on this Wednesday afternoon, and we are joined by a very special guest here in the studio. Now, I don't even know if it's right to call him a guest. He is now a permanent fixture here on not just 13 News Now, but eventually Live Impact News as well. This is Matthew Foltz joining us. Matthew, I don't know this is day 3 for you here.
It is.
But it's certainly not day 3 for you in the journalism industry. I want to start here. When did you know that you wanted to be a journalist? When did this start for you?
Oh, man. I mean, honestly, probably back when I was in college, because I went to VCU, and I kind of just went down the journalism track to see where it could lead me. And I'll never forget, we had the student broadcast class, and I did our first one, did a run through on the anchor desk, and I never forget, I was packing up the last one in class, and both my professors, one who was a former longtime anchor, looked at me and said, "Hey, you're the best, first-time natural student that we've seen that have been naturally good at it. You need to stick with it."
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, and they helped me get my first job, and the good Lord has led me here over the last decade and a half.
Very nice. I can confidently say that I never received a message like that from one of my teachers. I remember at one point in college even, I approached my teacher, and I was like, I feel like, am I doing pretty well at this? And she said, "You're doing okay." One of those. So already in admiration of the props, and thank goodness for those teachers, because it's led you on this path, right? It's important to get that kind of encouragement early, and then you discover that you also have a passion for the thing that you happen to be good at, which is lucky in itself. And now, where are you coming from? What was your last market, and what did you do there?
Yeah, so I came from Indianapolis, Indiana. There I spent 4.5 years as a weekend morning anchor and also a weekday reporter. And prior to that, I was in Richmond, Virginia. So I worked at the CBS affiliate there, and then it was also in Harrisonburg prior to that. So I've joke around when people say I've been in almost every market in Virginia. So I kind of really have covered the landscape. But it's been a good journey. You know, like I say, 10.5 years in the business. I've kind of covered all sorts of different things from, hard news, community impactful news. So it's been great.
And a weekend morning anchor. Can you tell people what that's like, what that schedule is like? Because people always, they turn on their TV, the person's there. They maybe forget that person had to get up at 3 a.m. or 2 a.m. to get into work. What was that like?
That was, we're getting up, 3:30 a.m. on a Saturday and Sunday, trying to go to sleep early on a Friday, Saturday night when everyone wants to go out and do stuff and invite you out and stuff like that. So that was pretty hard. It takes a lot of discipline. But it's rewarding at the same time because you're starting your week while people are kind of ending their week, kind of slowly unwinding. But you're trying to get them pepped up for a weekend versus like a weekday morning anchor when you're trying to get everybody. Okay, the party's just the fun's just ended. Let's get back into this work week. So it was challenging, but it was rewarding at the same time.
It shows your dedication to the job, man. It shows the professionalism, and I think that's great. And now you're transitioning to still going to be in the mornings, but you might have your weekends freed up a little bit. Tell everybody about what you'll be doing here at 13 News Now.
Yeah, so I'll be weekday morning anchor on Daybreak alongside Ashley, Marta, and Craig. So super excited to be with them. Super excited to be with you all. I'll also be doing the relieving you. I know you're probably not. I wouldn't say tired, but I'll be relieving you of the 10 a.m.
Well, I think what it is the viewers are tired of me. I think that's maybe what the bigger problem here. But yes, go ahead, keep going.
But yeah, I'll be taking that spot, the 10 a.m. to noon shift here on Live Impact News. So certainly excited to get in that role. Certainly been having a good time learning from you and everyone else here at 13 News Now, and just excited to really make my mark not only here in the newsroom but also out in the community, because that's a big one of the big things for me is getting involved in the community, helping mentor youth, emceeing different events. I'm a big outdoors person, so I'm always out and about doing something, whether I'm running, biking, or on the water or snowboarding, whatever, you name it.
Yeah. Now you mentioned a couple things there that I want to touch on. Number one, for our audience here, for those of you who watch Live Impact throughout the day, that's true. Matthew will be anchoring our 10 a.m. to noon Live Impact News broadcast. He will be in here in this studio, bringing you 2 hours of that live news that you've gotten so accustomed to. And so I'm really excited to work with you on that and to kind of dive into this world with you. Now, you mentioned all those outdoor activities, right? You've already kind of alluded to what you like to do in your free time. You tell if people want to know, oh, what's this guy doing when he's not at work? Dive a little further into that. What are your hobbies? What are your passions? What do you like to do outside of journalism?
So I'm big into CrossFit. Just started that this year.
Well, we know that yesterday you had a CrossFit session
at 5:30 in the morning.
At 5:30 in the morning, used to that morning schedule.
So that's going to change when I start next week. I'll be going to 4 p.m. But yeah, I like getting active. You know, I do CrossFit. I like to bike, be on the water. I wake surf, snowboard, like I just mentioned. Pretty much anything. You know, working out, just getting outdoors, doing different things.
Yeah.
Usually, if I'm not doing those things, I'm kind of at home, maybe catching up on the playoffs right now, obviously, but I'm a big basketball fan, so I'm watching basketball. Sometimes I watch a little bit of Netflix and maybe catch a show or something like that. But a lot of times I'm just on the go too much. Just always either, like I said, either emceeing an event, doing something, or maybe checking out a nice restaurant. So if you got any restaurant recommendations or good things to check out, definitely let me know. On social media.
Do you consider yourself a foodie? Is that a part of the repertoire?
You know, I am.
Okay.
I am. I try not to be because, you know, you look at your bank account and I'm like, whoa, I spent all this money trying all these different foods. But
see, you look at the bank account, I look at the scale. You know what I mean? It's like there's a lot of things you got to worry about when you love a dinner out. Do you have like a favorite dish? What if you're really indulging? What are you getting into?
Any good Italian. I love Italian food. Seafood. I'm very happy to be back on the coast to get some real seafood because I used to tell people when you're inland, you think this seafood is good. No, you haven't had good seafood until you've gone to Virginia Beach, anywhere along the coast. So I'm definitely a big seafood and Italian lover.
Okay, good to know. Yeah, you came to the right place for sure. Those two in abundance here in Hampton Roads, definitely the seafood. Now, when it comes to what you do outside of anchoring, when you're going and pursuing stories, do you have a favorite type of story to dive into, an area of interest within journalism that you really put an extra focus on?
A lot of community impact stories. So in the past, I've really done good, or well, I should say, at building relationships in the community, whether that's city council people, community advocates. I do a lot of youth stories. I mean, we've seen it. We've been reporting a lot this week on these teen takeovers. My last market, it was big on like, hey, how do we give kids? What's the outlet? What's the solution to this? So I like working with a lot of nonprofit organizations to be able to see what they're doing to highlight or shine positive spotlights on children and youth. So those are really the stories that I like telling. Where it's like, hey, here's a problem we have in our community. How can we solve it?
Right. How can we solve it in a way that benefits the people in the community? Sometimes, in the case of the teen takeover, you have people who are looking to spend time with friends, neighbors, fellow community members, fellow kids in the area. How do we create a situation where that can be done in a way that works for everybody?
Exactly.
It's cool. I think it's great that you already caught on to that. I've only been here a couple of days. You're already finding stories that you know that you're going to really like and want to take control of and contribute to. You also did something good, which is that you're already remembering names really well. You said Marta, Ashley, Craig in the morning. It took me, 3-4 years to remember Craig's name? He's such a Craig Moeller, one of our meteorologists. You probably don't remember either. Such a forgettable guy. It's hard to remember his name. Just kidding, Craig. Craig's out this week, so we can kind of make fun of him here a little bit. You're going to be doing the morning show with those guys, and that's a wonderful team. Yeah. And our Daybreakers is one of our favorite communities here as well. We get a lot of community involvement with that show, and I think that you're really going to enjoy, just based on all the stuff we've been talking about, being a part of that.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it. Anything else about the area that you're looking forward to? Do you have any questions for us?
Yeah, I'm ready to get plugged in. Just start exploring. It's been you and I were just talking about. I might go to the beach this weekend because my birthday was Monday.
Yes. Happy birthday.
Thank you. And I kind of want to celebrate. And I was when I was moving here, I was like, I could, you think and you can think back to and sense of smell. It's like that when you go to the beach for the first time and forever, and you kind of take in that ocean smell.
All the senses kick in. Suddenly
Yes.
you're back, ready to go. That is kind of an interesting point, too. That birthday on your first day at work at a new place.
That
Do
was
you
a
even
first.
feel like it was your birthday? Do you feel like you turned another year?
I don't.
Yeah.
It was like, it wasn't bad. You know, I really enjoyed working on my birthday. You know, starting a new chapter.
Right.
On my birthday, I should say.
A new era in more ways than one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And so, I forgot. I was like, I had to think about, oh, wow, I did have a birthday this past week.
Right.
A few days ago, rather. But, no, it was cool. It's cool. And like I said, I'm just excited to work alongside you guys and get to know you all more and just see how I can help and improve the station even more.
Very nice. Now, we got to bring on the People's producer, Nia Campbell. You'll be working with Nia Campbell quite a bit here throughout this process as well, in addition to Sarah Calloway, our morning live impact producer. Nia loves it when I bring her on and put her on the spot, so feel free to do that as much as possible when you're streaming. Nia, did you wish Matthew a happy birthday?
I did not. Happy
Sorry.
birthday,
Okay.
Matthew.
Thank you.
Why
I'm
would
so
you put me on the spot like that?
I'm so sorry, Nia. The reason that I put you on the spot is because I didn't either. So happy birthday, Matthew.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for working right through the birthday to get started with us. Nia, do you have any questions for Matthew? I know that you get to kind of see all of this through a production lens. You're like, oh, another anchor that I'm going to have to wrap, another anchor that I'm going to have to keep the guardrails on for. You got any questions for Matthew?
No questions.
Okay.
I think that you're going to love it here, though. I think you'll fit in very well.
Thank you.
You got the Commonwealth background.
Yeah.
You got the VCU time in Richmond. A
Go
little
Rams,
different
go.
from Richmond, but there's some similarities as well.
Yeah.
So we're excited to get you started, man. And you've really hit the ground running. You've been bopping around this place. Every time I see you, you're talking to a new group. You've stayed busy pretty much the whole time.
Yeah.
So I guess what we'll end with is putting you on the spot as well. Do you have a pick for Game 4 tonight, Spurs versus Knicks here on ABC 8:30?
I'm hoping it's Spurs.
You want to see a good series?
I would like to see a good series. I would like to see the Spurs take it all the way.
Okay.
So we'll see. But, I mean, I didn't expect Spurs to win last time. I'm glad they did.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm rooting for the Spurs again. I think they can get it done.
For those of us, we want to see it go 7.
I would
at
like to
least,
see it go
right? Have
7,
it be
yeah.
entertaining. I picked the Knicks before the series, so I got to stick with the pick. But a 7 game, it feels like it deserves 7 games.
It does.
Every game has been close. Every game has been good. So we'll see what happens. I know last year it was your Indiana Pacers in there.
Oh my gosh.
And that did go
What a
7.
run.
And we know that 7 was tragic in more ways than one for the Pacers.
It was.
But now you get to watch without any sort of desperate rooting interest going on.
Yeah.
Well, welcome, man. We're really happy to have you.
Thank you.
And you'll start to see Matthew on our shows, on our streams as the weeks progress. Before long, you'll be as much a part of the community as the grain or water side. So we're great to have you here, man. Thanks for coming, and we'll see you probably tomorrow here on Live Impact News.
Sounds good.
All right.
Appreciate you guys having me.
Very good. Matthew Fultz, welcome to the team, joining us from Indianapolis, but with quite a background from the Commonwealth, going to VCU for school and working in Richmond before heading out to Indianapolis to do some work over there. Our morning shows, our streams, Matthew Fultz joining the team here today. Now, let's do a commercial break on Live Impact News. When we get back, the president of FIFA is sitting next to the World Cup trophy in Mexico City, a press conference as the World Cup starts in full tomorrow here in North America. That's coming up next. back here on Live Impact News. And during the break, I was widely admonished by everyone in here for not wishing Matthew a happy birthday, putting Naya on the spot, just putting me on blast, for putting everyone else on blast. So let me just apologize. I'm sorry, guys. You know, I'm just so excited that we're all a team and we're all here together. There we go. Thank you for the sky view. I thought you were just going to keep me on during that apology the whole time. Okay, let's get back to business here. We still have plenty of news going on. It's been a relatively slow day, but the World Cup is tomorrow. The president of FIFA speaking at the podium right now in Mexico City. Let's go live out to Mexico City. That's where Game 1 will be tomorrow. Let's take a listen.
Some of your questions already. I mean, the three topics which were coming up all the time in the last few weeks. Iran, tickets, and visas. Nothing to do with football, a lot to do with the current situation, with our host countries, with the world the way it is. So let me say that on Iran, I'm very happy because I went to see myself the Iranian team in Turkey, in Antalya, in March of this year. And when people were saying, well, it would be impossible for Iran to come to the World Cup, I told them and I promised them that they would come, and if I had to go with a bus to Tehran and drive them here, I would do that. Their answer was, we will take the bus ourselves and drive it if need be. We qualified and we want to play. And this is the spirit of football. Of course there are challenges. Of course it's not easy. I don't know who else would have been able to ensure that in these circumstances, which we cannot influence, obviously, in these circumstances, Iran could come and play. And where Iran plays, the stadium will be full, and I hope there will be a positive atmosphere, because this is football. This is about people forgetting for a moment their realities and being able to focus on a match and on a team. So I'm very happy that we managed to get Iran to come and play in this World Cup. And I'm proud of the work of my team and grateful to the administrations of the three host countries for having cooperated with us to make this happen. And there are some issues that we are still dealing with, of course, to make sure that everything goes in the right way. The second topic is tickets. And the ticket prices, and are stadiums going to be full or not? You tell me if I forget something, Brian.
I will, don't worry.
Or you will tell me certainly as well. So we sold until today over 6 million tickets. There are always tickets on sale. As you know, we also need always to keep some tickets for those teams who qualify for the additional rounds. The demand has been unprecedented, but not unprecedented by a little bit, but unprecedented by a factor of 10 or more. The number of ticket requests we received has been absolutely incredible, and I want to start there as well by thanking all the fans who bought a ticket, who are buying tickets to come to the World Cup. The World Cup is a unique event, an event that takes place every 4 years. The last World Cup in this part of the world was in the last century, in 1994 for the US, in 1986 for Mexico. We don't know when the next one will be. It is a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and when you are in a country, when you are in a part of the world, you need, of course, to deal with the local habits and the local customs. And let me just say that our entry price, which is $60, is the lowest entry price of any of the American sports in the playoff phases. Our average price, which is below $500, is again the lowest of the American sports. On average, if we take the playoffs, I think we can at least compare the playoffs of an American sport with the World Cup. If you look at the final of the NBA, the Knicks against San Antonio, I don't know how many people are watching that on TV, 10 million maybe, I don't know. The World Cup will be watched by 6 billion people. So in terms of importance, the World Cup is much, much more important. And the fact that when we put these tickets on sale, they go on the secondary market, which is absolutely legal here, and they are sold for a much higher price. This certainly shows that the prices were accurate in terms of the way they have been determined. You can also imagine that these decisions are not just taken like this, somebody wakes up and decides on a price. There is a lot of analysis, a lot of work, a lot of experts who are involved in deciding what should happen. And when it comes to these legal investigations or complaints that were made in some states in the US, let me say there as well that we are very relaxed about it, because before starting to sell 6.5 or 7 million tickets, we check what we do with the best lawyers, with the best experts. If we do something wrong, then probably everyone selling tickets in North America is doing something wrong as well. But because this makes headlines, it's good as well to put it a little bit in a context. And let's say California, who was the first one. I was in Los Angeles yesterday as well, by the way. Fantastic fan fest there at the Coliseum. Sold out for tomorrow. 40,000 people will watch the opening of Mexico, South Africa in Los Angeles Coliseum. Beautiful. So in California, we sold around 800,000 tickets for the games in Los Angeles and San Francisco. Now, out of these 800,000 tickets, we had 3. Not 3,000, not 300, 3 customers who complained. I think a 4th one came since, so it's 4. And all these cases were solved before, of course, these investigations started. So we welcome every investigation. We are happy to present everything, and we are happy to make our case. But what is most important in all of that is that every dollar that we generate goes back into football. If we were, like everyone else in football does by now, selling our TV rights.
Okay, back here in the Live Impact studio again tomorrow, day 1 of the World Cup games. Actual live World Cup action in Mexico City tonight. Game 4 of the NBA Finals coming up in 1 hour. 13 News Now at 4. Thanks for being with us on Live Impact News. We'll see everybody later on.